What's up, buddy? We're here.
Hello.
Isn't it cool? Yeah, we're here, man. All right, so before we start, I do want to dedicate this podcast to a NIMI family member that we lost recently, Cade Pendergraft. For those of you listening who didn't know, we went to military school down in Roswell, New Mexico, and we started with a really great guy. And he went on to join the Army, became an NCO recently, and he was stationed out in Italy, I believe, where about a week and a half ago, he suffered from a tragic accident while hiking. And as with all NIMI losses, it kind of hits us, near and far. So I want to dedicate this to Cade. The Army lost a great paratrooper. And our condolences go out to his family and his friends, because we couldn't even imagine the nightmare they're living right now on top of an entire COVID pandemic. That's...
It's a crazy loss, man.
Yeah, it's rough. So to Cade, to Mr. Pendergraft.
Mr. Pendergraft?
Yeah. All right. Well, on to... I'm not trying to make this a political podcast, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. But what the fuck was that debate?
Dude, I watched that today. I was cleaning, and I had it going in my ears, and I was listening to it, and I had to stop doing what I was doing, because I was like, what the fuck did he just say? What is I had to look at the screen on my phone. I had my phone set up over here, and I was cleaning shit. And I had to look at my phone and be like, who the fuck is talking right now? All three people are fucking arguing with each other. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
I was here. I was working out, doing some body weight stuff. Then I moved on outside, started running. And what made me stop dead in my tracks was when the moderator brings up and he goes, hey, tonight, and talking to the president, he goes, tonight, will you denounce white supremacy? And so I was like, oh, okay. So he kind of sidestepped. This is Charleston. So I was like, okay, let's see if he does it. What does he do? He sidesteps again. He asks, he goes, hey, yeah, I will. What do you want me to call him? Then turns it on the left, and then they go on to the next subject. He wouldn't denounce white supremacy.
Dude, it was just astonishing to me that everyone got quiet. Joe Biden looked at the president and was like, go ahead, answer the question. Just answer the question. And he looks at him and goes, Antifa's the problem. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh my God, he just said it. And he was like, oh yeah. Stand down, Proud Boys, stand by. And I was like, what the fuck did he just say?
And what's funny about that is, so today, I don't know if you saw this or not, but the Proud Boys, the leader of the Proud Boys, whoever that is, and then some Black Lives Matter leaders got together, and I want to say Ohio, maybe Oregon, and they held a rally together, and they were like, we denounce white supremacy.
Right. Yeah, how hard is that?
So, and I understand that the president made that bill to help Black America, and he's put $500 billion in inner cities and this and that, and that's great. I love that. And he officially made Antifa, the KKK, and a few other members terrorist organizations. I love that. But how hard is it to just say, white supremacy is bad? You know what? Okay.
I denounce.
This is the...
Hey, Noah, I want you to denounce white supremacy right now.
Yeah, so I'll
say,
make the first...
No, stop sidestepping. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first
Answer the question.
Statement from the Only Kings podcast. If you are a white supremacist, go fuck yourself. If you are any sort of racist, if you think you are better than someone for any reason in general, but because of the color of their skin differs from yours, go fuck yourself. There's no room for that right now.
It's ridiculous.
There's no room for it anyway, but the world is actively falling apart. Why are we still doing this?
The fact that this shouldn't even be a conversation, and it is now, is ridiculous.
Why are we here in the middle of a pandemic, a very human problem, where we should all be like, yeah, hey, disease sucks. My grandfather, my grandma, my whoever might die. Let's just not be fucking idiots for 30 seconds and figure this out. But no.
Well, and you would think, because it's like most of the time when like shit goes south, there's like the common denominator, the common enemy, and everyone's like, yeah, let's fight that shit. But no, we're here fighting and bickering with ourselves because why?
And what, Oregon's had 110 consecutive nights of rioting?
Of protests and rioting.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm all for the peaceful protest. That's great. We need that. Like, you like, that's part of what makes this country good. But like, when you turn it into a riot, when you turn it into violence, and then when you have politicians really on both sides, the left gets really shit on for this, but on both sides, when you have politicians saying, yeah, hey, no gatherings, but you can protest.
I was actually about to ask you about that. Like, where is it in like the morals or whatever you want to do?
The common sense?
The common sense where you're like, yeah, everyone's saying, yeah, COVID's bad, wear a mask, social distance, don't gather in like large groups. But then on the other hand, in the same breath, there are all these peaceful protests going on, and protests and riots, whatever you want to call them. And there's no, it's
crazy. For lost words. And what's funny is, so they have, it's not funny, but like, so when the riots first kicked off after the George Floyd incident, which I think that's the only thing in this year of 2020 that everyone agreed on, is that the George Floyd incident was fucked up and those cops need to be arrested.
Oh yeah,
and punished. Like, there's no way. For those of you listening, get the chance, go on YouTube and look up Dave Chappelle's 846. It's about a 30-minute video. It's not stand-up comedy. It's a gathering he has, COVID safe and all that. The anger and the loss in that guy's voice talking about George Floyd.
Oh, he's done, dude.
It's all of us right now.
Yeah.
And I think everyone agrees that was fucked up. So the George Floyd thing goes down, and you have all these riots, and you have the protests first, then they turn into riots. And they're like, yeah, you can totally do that, that's fine, whatever. And then they try to just not look at the fact that wherever there were the huge riots, pockets of COVID just spread. It's like, well, no shit.
And no one wants to bring that up. No one wants to be like, yeah, these large gatherings of people in peaceful protest, and then COVID cases spike. No one wants to like connect the two like together. Well, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I'm one for, how do I put it? I'm all for social like gatherings, like to gather up and like protest what you believe in, and like that's great.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah, freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Big advocate of that, but like there's no words that come to my brain that's like, you're scared of COVID, but you know it bounces out.
The government needs to find a way to let us move the fuck on. Like,
right.
We need. What I don't understand is, so they had tests ready for the debate. Everyone, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, but from what I read, is that everyone at the debate got tested.
That's what they said during the debate too.
So if you can mass test like that, why are you not working tirelessly to get that for the rest of the country? Where is that?
And this is just that. It's going on here, like in New Mexico. It's going on. Like at the Expo Fairgrounds, there's every day they're constantly having cars drive through and do drive-through testing.
But is it
instant
all the time? Is it within like 20
But it's not
minutes?
instant, no.
Yeah, see, that's the problem.
Like when I did it, it took, I think, 2 days to get back.
Exactly.
And to me, that's too late at that point. Like,
yeah. Well, you just stop
2
work
days.
for 2 days? You
right,
stop? Hey,
exactly.
I'm not coming in. I got tested. Right?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that was pretty fucked up. But, kind of attached to that, we found out recently that the president now has contracted COVID, and today we're recording on October 2nd. Today we found out that Trump has now been hospitalized. And they're saying that it is a precautionary measure, which is smart. Whether it is or not, let's look at the facts, right? He's, 74 years old, overweight. So he's overweight.
Not in good health.
He's not in good health. He wasn't in good health going into the office, and now he's had 3 years of consecutive cortisol spikes. His immune system is probably trash anyway.
Yeah.
My thoughts and prayers and my condolences go out to that family, and I hope that their infection spread is kept to a minimum, their health comes back quickly, and we continue trying to run this country. I don't know if I like his odds. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know if I like his odds.
Well, and that's just the thing.
Because isn't that what we're all worried about? Is the old people that are compromised and in these categories?
Exactly. It's kind of strike, man.
It sucks. I mean, this is a really shitty time because now what? So he gets tested positive on the 1st. You have to do a mandatory 2-week quarantine. The presidential debate is supposed to be on the 15th. So what? He gets released from quarantine hours before the debate? Is that what they're doing? Or do they have to push it back? And then, so Biden tested negative, so that's good. That means it didn't spread at the debate.
Right.
But, so does Pence, does he get tested? Right? Who else is getting tested there? And what if Pence comes up with positive, right? What do you do with the debate on Wednesday? Between him and Kamala Harris.
Just gotta
we just keep pushing things back?
That's just, and they were talking about that in the debate, even with kind of off topic, but with the mail-in ballots. They're allowed to come
that's
in.
A whole nother shit show.
It's allowed to come in later after the election's over. And so it's you keep pushing the day back of okay, we got to count all the ballots, but you're not going to stay in office past this day.
Yeah.
It's catch-22.
They still have what? So
and sorry, we'll get back to that later because that's another topic. But back to the COVID thing. It's just you keep pushing the debates back, and guess what? It's almost too late to be debating right now. It's already October 2nd, like you said.
We're about a month away from
the election.
And what's crazy to me is they're not at a disadvantage. They would be in the 1960s because they didn't have social media.
Right.
They're not at a disadvantage now from seeing people because everyone sees them on social media. But just being able to prove their points singularly, in a press conference format or a rally format, that just hasn't been there.
Well, okay, and here's my 2 cents about that. This debate accomplished nothing.
No, it didn't.
Nothing.
No, not
I listened
at all.
to the whole fucking thing, and I was okay, none of them have changed my mind about anything. All they did was bicker the entire time. I blame both. It was both Donald Trump and both Joe Biden. It was both of them.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
So this is the last.
It was just bickering back and forth. Sorry.
No,
just bickering back and forth. No one let the other one speak. Granted, Donald Trump did kind of,
No, he exacerbated the situation.
It way more than it should have been. But that's.
So what I will say, last thing I'll say about it, so we can move on because everyone's heard this a million times over from every other fucking source. Biden in the beginning was I don't want to make this about our families. We need to make this about the families at home, which I respect. I get that. But what? Towards the end of the debate, Trump goes after his dead son that was on coke and then got kicked out of his dead son that got kicked out of the military for coke.
Yeah, dude.
That's, and how easy, with all respect to the president and his family, how easy would it be to pick that family apart?
Oh, hands down easy.
Yeah. But you don't. Whether you're the president or not. You just don't go after somebody's family.
That's ridiculous. You can't. That's not what we're here to do. That's not what the presidency is about. It's not about just bashing your opponent. And that's all this fucking was. It was just both of them bashing each other. There was no problem solving accomplished. It was just each of them giving shit to each other about each of the questions.
See, and it was cute. It was cute for Trump when he was running. Because you had all these politicians,
right,
and then Donald Trump. We get it. We understand what we're paying for here, right?
Yeah.
But now that you're in the office for 3 years, no less, it's more than time to start acting presidential.
Right. You can't. Holy shit.
Yeah. All right, moving on to much happier things. We got Spider-Man news to talk about. So you want to go with the good or the bad?
Ooh, hit me with the bad first.
The bad, okay. So, I don't know if you saw, but they decided to change the character model for the PlayStation 4 game Spider-Man for that. They're calling it a remaster, but it's running at the same resolution, which is still 4K. The only reason to be a remaster is they knocked up the frame rate to 120, which would be cool, but really it's a port from 4 to 5, PS4 to PS5. they make him look like a 16-year-old. And they make him look like Tom Holland. And here's the problem with that. Here's my problem with that. From a storytelling perspective, it's an older Spider-Man. He's supposed to be, what, 26-ish?
Yeah, he's 26, 27.
Right, so you're fucking up the story, A. B, if you replay that campaign and a 24-year-old Mary Jane is making out with a 16-year-old Peter, did they not think this through?
Dude, Black Cat's a pedophile
Like,
now, apparently.
what do you do with that, right? And then now, again, from a story standpoint, Miles, an 18-year-old Miles, now looks older than Peter. Where does that go with the story?
I don't know why they decided that was like the good idea, was make him look younger. Why was their decision to do that? To make him more...
Tom Holland.
That's ridiculous.
Tom Holland.
They're two different things.
Look, yeah, they love the MCU. Look at the posters behind you. I mean, look, the MCU did great things. They did do great things. But when they do bad things, they are horrible. They are atrocities, and this is one of them. This is a direct, because I really doubt this. I don't want to believe this is Insomnia. I want to say this is some suits up in Sony, and they're sad because it's the first year without an MCU release, so they're like, all right, we got to get fucking Tom Holland in a video game now. They'll make our own video game, which has ruined one of the best superhero games ever made. It's right next to the Arkham series.
Oh, hands down.
So what do you...
They just ruined it. They ruined it. Like, I saw that.
Spider-Man.
I saw that, and I was debating buying a PS5, and I saw that, and I was like, I don't want one anymore.
It's like,
I
what
just
the
don't.
fuck,
Like,
right?
That ruined it for me. That just ruined the game. I played that game like 2 times over already, and now I don't want to play it anymore.
It's like, why?
Why?
Yeah.
You've ruined it. Nothing. You didn't need to change anything. The game was really good as it was. You could have added more stuff to it. You didn't need to change anything.
So if this Peter, let's assume, right? If this Peter cameos, which he probably will, if he cameos in the Spider-Man Miles Morales game that's coming out, is he going to be fucking 16? Have they already rendered him as the original Spider-Man from the video game? What's that going to be? Or are they going to end up refixing that and then he's some horrible... some horrible character model that resembles Superman from Justice League.
A CGI monster face.
What the fucked up mouth? Like, what are we doing here?
Dude, when you try to talk to those kids, and all you see is like his upper lip, like up here, like, oh, dude,
it was bad. That's a whole other subject for another time.
Ridiculous.
So that's the bad.
Yeah, they CGI monster faced him.
Yeah,
and. No, I think what I'm hoping is going to happen is they're going to have the backlash like they did with Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Oh,
and everyone
right.
was like, that's fucking terrible. We don't want that. Who the fuck makes it look like that? And then they
like a furry.
And then they changed it back to like something it should be. So I'm hoping they do that. I really am. I'm hoping this was just like they didn't actually do it yet. They were like testing the waters. Do people like this or not?
And
obviously
give them
people
that
don't
much
like
faith.
it. Sony, if you're listening to this,
you fucked up.
You fucked up.
You really screwed the pooch on this one, guys. And I liked Venom. Like, I liked that movie.
That was really good.
I thought it was fine.
I think Tom Holland definitely made the movie. Tom Hardy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
They already got. They got me. They already fucking got me.
Bad.
Oh my god.
But on the cool side of things, another Sony move. It has to be. Jamie Foxx, Electro, coming back for Spider-Man 3. Now, he accidentally posted on Instagram today a fan art of the Spider-Verse and said that he's like, Spider-Man, run it back, Spider-Man 3. He put on his Instagram stories that it's confirmed for December of next year. And he also confirmed in his post that he will not be blue. So these are all great things. But I want to know who sat in the boardroom and said, you know what people loved from that great movie, Amazing Spider-Man 2? They loved Blue Electro. They also loved the specific scene where he gets electrocuted and his buck teeth fuse together. They loved that. Like, I'm sorry.
So I have words to say about that.
Who said that was a good part of the movie?
If they wanted to do that, they didn't have to like make an entirely separate scene for that specifically. I don't understand why they did that.
I don't know either.
Like, the electricity fused his teeth together? Besides
and
the
it
point,
calmed his anxiety too. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He has no more like social anxiety and like.
Oh yes, he does. Yes, he did. He went straight to New York.
He freaked out. And he's got
freaked out.
pissed, and that's
Yeah.
right. No, you're right.
So it just manifested into like some kind of schizophrenic thing. Yeah, so it turned from like a weird panic disorder, anxiety, schizophrenia to like, I'm going to fucking kill everybody kind of schizophrenia now.
That was a cool scene, though.
It was really cool.
I'll give him
Dude,
that.
the music, okay, I have to say this. Whoever made the music for that
It was good.
was fucking great. I used to work out to that shit. I was like,
good.
fucking got me going, man.
No, that was good. So yeah, and if I was running the show, what I would have done is I would have brought in that chick. Like, I understand why they did it with Jamie Foxx. Everyone knows him, easy to pull in. I get that.
Yeah.
What I would have done is I would have brought in that girl that worked for Harry Osborn, and they only called her Felicia. I would have brought her over and backdoored a Black Cat movie out of Spider-Man 3, but have that be the link to Garfield's universe. That's what I would have done.
Something subtle?
Yeah, something real subtle. That's what I would have done. But again, I understand why they did Jamie Foxx. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that character.
He's a big name.
And how they bring him over.
Yeah.
But the bigger thing, at the end of Far From Home, is that J.K. Simmons came back as Jameson. Good move. What I would do, again, if you're listening, what I would do, I would turn that guy. He already seems crazy, right? And he runs an internet show, thedailybugle.net. What I would do is turn him into an Alex Jones, like, crazy character and have him be like, look, I'm from a different universe.
InfoWars style.
Literally, I've seen a different Spider-Man. He's a little older, cries a lot, but guess what? I've seen a different Spider-Man. I know where this is going with Spider-Man. I'm from a different universe. Nobody believes him. And then when Spider-Verse happens, he's vindicated. I would do that. And that's how you kind of bring in
all right.
Tobey Maguire.
So kind of, how would you get him into, how did he get to there in the first place?
Oh, dude, comic movies. The fucking portal opens up and he fucking flies.
So like Spider-Verse style?
Yeah, literally the animated movie Spider-Verse. They have the blueprint. Just do it.
They really do, though.
Just do it.
Yeah.
You're not... Yeah, just do that. I mean, you don't have to really make it grounded. It's not grounded. These people stick to walls. Like, they shoot fucking fluid out of their wrists. All right? Like, his last enemy was a dude with a bubble on his head. Like, this is not the time for being grounded. And I think that's the biggest problem with the MCU. To go off a little tangent here, is they either made it super grounded, super realistic, or they just fucking dove headfirst in the comic books, like Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
But they could never find that happy medium. I think the closest they came to that was the Infinity War and Endgame. Endgame had a lot of problems with the story, but it was fucking great, so who cares? Let's be real, who cares? But yeah, they need to just dive into comic bookism, recognize that comic books are fucking weird, and...
Well, they did that. They did that with Thor Ragnarok. Like, they just went fucking...
Yeah, but like, Thor Ragnarok's not a good Thor movie. It's a good movie. He's just...
Okay.
I'm not well out on Thor, I'll say that, but the Thor books that I have read, he's not the Thor in Thor Ragnarok.
No, because that's not appealing to audiences. He's an asshole in the comics. Just an asshole, monotone, like, never character development change, like nothing huge or drastic. He's just a fucking dick.
I disagree. Original Sin. When he loses his hammer. That whole arc.
I lost my hammer. Oh no.
That whole arc about being redeemed, and then he doesn't because Jane Foster got it. And I forget how she got it, but...
She was worthy.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we're getting Spider-Verse. And that's cool. I'm real happy about that. I pray to God they don't fuck it up. I pray to God they bring back Tobey.
My boy Tobey Maguire.
I like
You
Tom
need to be in
Holland.
this movie.
Yeah.
This is from all Spider-Man fans everywhere. I'm channeling them. We want Tobey Maguire back.
We all want Tobey
Maguire.
You know what's funny to me about Tobey? So everyone just took a shit on him when Tom Holland came out. And this is the same thing when Ben Affleck became Batman, right? Everyone just really took a shit on it. But now that the possibility... Well, Ben Affleck's confirmed to come back as Batman, and everyone fucking rejoiced. Snyder Cut gets confirmed. All of a sudden, everyone loves Zack Snyder, right? So I guarantee... Because now everyone's all hyped about Tobey. Because they think they're going to come back in the Doctor Strange movie by Sam Raimi. So it's funny how perspective changes. It's like, appreciate what the fuck you had, and you wouldn't have lost it.
You're not wrong.
Like, you wouldn't have lost Ben Affleck if you didn't take a fucking shit on him for no reason. Like, hate or love BVS. I love that movie. I could do a whole fucking 4-hour thing on that movie. Yeah, I know, Martha. Yeah, I know.
Martha?
Yeah, I know.
Did you say Martha?
The common denominator is Ben Affleck's Batman. He's great. Now, he turned into a bitch because of Justice League and Joss Whedon.
But apparently they're going to fix that.
But yeah, I think they're going to.
Zack Snyder cut.
I think they're going to. I hope they're going to. Dude, they're spending fucking... So the original budget was 20 to 30 million. Now it's upwards of 70. Because they're bringing back... Well, and now we're in October. They're doing more... They're not even doing reshoots. They're doing extra scenes to make it more episodic. And they're bringing back the cast. And all the stuff that's taking place, like... Yeah, it's upward... I would honestly estimate it's about $90 million. And that's including Zack Snyder doing it for free. Because he's doing it for free. He confirmed that.
He doesn't give a fuck anymore, dude. He just wants that fucking a good movie out.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I also think that like Warner Brothers found a way to get into his contract. I'm like, hey, you never actually completed Justice League, your movie. You never completed it, so complete it. I bet that's how they got him. Which is whatever. I mean, because the last leadership of Warner Bros. Kind of fucked him. They really fucked him. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. Spider-Verse is happening, and that's very cool.
I'm really hoping that he accidentally posted it and was like, oh, maybe well, let's post something like that. Not just, that looks cool, I'm going to post it.
No. He posted it because he was excited.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige, like, slapped him on the wrist and was like, don't do that. Like, they had to fucking hold Tom Holland's hand for the first, like, 3 years of him being Spider-Man. He just wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Oh, my God. That was great.
But, yeah, man. Okay, so you watched the movie last night, and I did too.
Bro.
Let's talk about that for a second, right? The house that Jack built. So for anyone watching that has not seen this movie, good for you. So
let me tell you what.
Yeah, so a quick little breakdown of this movie without not doing any spoilers. It is about a serial killer played really well by Matt Damon.
It's really fucked up.
Yeah.
Like,
so he's a serial killer. He kills people for a 12-year stretch. He's narrating the story. But he homes in and tells the viewer about 5 incidents, is what he calls them.
Yeah, 5 random incidents.
And he tries to imitate his murders based on art. Is that accurate? Is that a good synopsis? Without getting into details or spoilers.
I don't think he imitates the murders on art. The murders themselves, I think, are pretty
They're supposed
random.
to be.
But
yeah,
the way he does after,
right,
he makes the art out of the murder.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, he makes art out of murder. That's again, like the best way I can describe it.
And that's probably the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
So without going into spoilers, what'd you think?
Bro. Like, when Jack used the jack... That was... I was watching the movie, I was like, okay, this bitching and then Jack used the jack, and I was like, oh!
Yeah.
Okay, I'll sit up now, and I'll watch this movie.
Well, I'll put this out there before you continue.
Holy shit.
So you watched the director's cut.
I did. I watched the unrated director's cut.
I watched the R version because I couldn't find the director's cut without paying for it. I didn't want to pay for it, but the R version was on Hulu. So I watched the R version, but I did look up like what the differences are. I saw some screen caps. I saw some extra videos on YouTube. It's not the same thing, but I know what was added. And mainly just lingering shots, a couple extra gore scenes, but just make that known. So continue. Your thoughts on it without any spoilers.
That's hard, dude.
It's hard, right?
Like, so if you've ever watched the movie Terrifier.
Oh, Christ.
It's pretty fucked up like that.
But Terrifier's not a good movie, though.
No, but how fucked up it is?
There's just one scene in Terrifier.
Yeah, the one really fucked up scene in Terrifier.
I don't want to go into it, but
the entire movie.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The house that Jack built.
But it's a lot more artistic in the heart.
Oh yeah, it's shot way more beautifully. Yeah. The scenes are just really well put together. The music's fantastic.
So what didn't you like about it? Without spoilers, what didn't you like about it?
I wasn't a big fan of the epilogue. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
I got it. I knew what was going on I don't know if in the R-rated version. So during the movie, there's two people narrating to each other. It's Jack and another character. You're not sure who it is yet.
Right.
And you can hear them in the background narrating between scenes of like why he did the things he did.
Right.
And at one scene, he said something about where they're going. And I was like, okay, I get it. I know where they're going with this. And then they kind of took that idea and instead of making it like, and I think it's just maybe because I'm a big fan of like Lovecraftian horror and the cosmic idea of you never know what it is kind of thing. And then they showed it to you and you're like, okay.
So you wanted to go the direction of the lighthouse.
A little bit. Yeah, I didn't mind the cinematography for that blog was beautiful. It was amazing.
Fantastic.
I love that they did that. That scene where they were in the boat and that was beautiful.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I just didn't like, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of it.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
And so I share that same sentiment.
Like in the end, his narcissism was what, you know.
Okay, so I get that.
Yeah,
and
I got that. I felt it was maybe too much on the nose, though.
The sentiment of Lovecraftian horror and the fear of the unknown, cosmic beings, I have always been interested in that. I really fell in love with that recently. Dude, my lovely lady. She has shown me how cool that can really be, especially with that video game Bloodborne. That game's fucking great. I will sing that game's praises to the end of my days. So yeah, I share that, but I never really got that vibe from the movie. Because what I liked about the movie was it was a very... all the kills were realistic, and they were very... you could almost believe this could happen, or that this has happened, like someone has done these things, with the exception of one scene in the middle, Incident 3, which we'll talk in the spoilers, Picnic.
Oh, dude.
I don't think that's ever happened. I pray to the Lord that's never happened.
Oh, I can guarantee you it has.
I fucking hope not.
I guarantee it has.
really hope not. But it seems like everything in that movie could have happened, right? And then,
And so let me stop you there. And so maybe the Lovecraftian horror was a bad way to explain it. I don't like when horror movies, or not even just horror movies, when movies have to explain everything.
They like spoon feed it to you.
They spoon fed it to like what was going on in the epilogue, and I wasn't a big fan of that.
Okay, no, I understand that.
And I was not a big fan of that. I like the idea of them just narrating in the background, and you have to guess. You're like,
okay,
it could be this.
Okay,
like this is my idea of what's going on. I like that. I was like, I feel smart. I'm the smart man. I'm Mr. Sophistication.
I'm Mr. Sophistication. Yes.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I like that. And then at the end, they spoon like, oh, this is what's going on. Yeah. Repeating scenes and I like narratives. And I was like, maybe not.
I get that. But yeah, I liked how real it could be. I mean, Matt Dillon, good God, he was good. Oh my word! I like Matt Dillon. I mean, The Outsiders is great. I mean, I love You Mean Dupree with Owen Wilson. I forget who the lady is that plays Matt Dillon's wife. I love You Mean Dupree. I think that's a great movie. And then Crash is awesome as well.
Oh, yeah.
But Matt Dillon, what was so good about this movie with him was because he's such a psychopath, in each of the 5 incidents, it's like he was playing a different character. He's still Jack. And Jack, he's not evolving. He's devolving into his own psychosis. But he's becoming like a more like cunning person. And I'll explain a little more when we get into spoilers, but like... he's becoming a more evil, cunning individual, and I really like seeing that.
Yeah, in each incident, the 5 incidents, you're right. He's a different Jack.
Yeah,
it's like he has multiple personality disorder, maybe, and each of those is just coming out in a different way.
Yeah,
and it's really interesting to see.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's the whole movie itself was. Roller coaster.
I've got 3 problems with the movie, though.
All right, 3
very stark problems. The first one is that first incident. I hate how that was shot. I hate that it's a shaky camera and then a bunch of cuts. I mean, I hate a lot of cuts in a movie in general. Whether it's a superhero movie like this, whatever it is, just a lot of cuts. Like, the worst, in my opinion, the worst offender of this is the latest Resident Evil. Dude, there's a fight scene where there's like 56 cuts in a 3-minute span. It is ridiculous.
But have you seen The Amazing Spider-Man on the subway fight scene?
Oh,
where it's just split, cuts to black, and then nothing, and then black, and then cut. That's pretty terrible. I haven't seen what you're talking about.
Yeah, you don't want to.
That sounds
There's very
horrible.
few times I've walked out of a movie theater pissed.
It feels lazy to me. It feels really lazy.
And it's supposed to build tension, but it doesn't. It just
annoys the fuck out of me.
It disorients the viewer more than it probably should. So I hate the way that first scene was shot. Other than that, it was shot fine. I thought the epilogue was shot fantastically.
Oh, it was beautiful.
The second problem that I've got, and again, it's kind of like a spoiler, Incident 3. I don't like what he did to one of the victims. I hated that. Like, it really bothered me. And I'm not a squeamish person, but seeing that...
If you watch the movie and you see me laughing at what he's talking about, it's just because it's so fucked up.
Like, it's impossibly fucked up. And, like, because here's my thing, right? Violence in a movie doesn't bother me. It's just a matter of what that violence does. Most of the time, if there's needless violence, it bores me. It's very annoying. Right. It's boring. It's like, why the fuck? Why?
Like all of BVS.
Like I'd say, fuck you. so I would say, like, not even the Saw movies. I like the Saw movies. But just, okay, yeah, Terrifier. That movie was just more gory than it should have been, but, like, why, right?
Yeah, it was for no reason.
Just what he did to one of his, really all those victims, but specifically one. And I know you know what I'm talking about. I hated that. It felt out of place. It felt very, like, it felt evil. Like,
no, it was hands down.
It's horrible. And, like, so mind you, that's the reason why I saw this movie is because she brought it up to me. I was like, oh shit. And then so when we rewatched it, I mean, she's not squeamish either. She had to cover her fucking eyes.
I can't even talk about what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
It spoils the movie.
Yeah. But so, like, I hated that. And I just hated seeing that. And it just really, like, made me sick. And, like, as they keep showing the aftermath of that, they keep showing it throughout the film. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, did you really spend that much money on the props so you got to keep using it?
I think it did its job, is what it was supposed to do. It made you uncomfortable the entire time.
Right, but also...
And every time you saw it, it was like, okay, that's how fucked up.
But it got to a point where it's like, okay, so I'll explain that further in spoilers. The last problem that I had, and I'm going to beat around the bush...
Can we do like a, hey, spoilers, skip ahead 2 minutes kind of thing?
That's what we're going to do.
We're going to have to.
So the last thing, and I won't get into too much to because it is a spoiler, there was certain imagery. Because between each murder that shows art, right, there's a certain imagery that honestly the director, and I have evidence of why it's the director, but in the movie it's the character of Jack, but in reality it's the director. And they sympathize with a person. And I hated that because no shit, the wrong person sees that, that's bad. And I'll get into that in the spoilers. But yeah, it's a really fucked up movie. So this is what we do for spoilers. We don't have any fancy animations yet because we're balling on a budget. We're going to put the crowns on the ground. While these crowns are off the table, we are talking spoilers for this movie. If for whatever reason you want to watch this movie, spoilers until these crowns get back on the table. Cool?
Spoilers.
Okay, Grumpy, right? Let's get to that first.
Poor little Grumpy.
Let me just get this out of my fucking system. So, there is a scene. It's Incident 3, and he starts it out by saying, my finest work was based in the idea of family. Now I'm going to hit the bullet points.
One of my finest works.
Okay, fair.
That stuck with me a little bit.
Okay, fair. So, because there could be more like that. Because
you find out later in the film.
He killed upward of 60, right?
61 people he killed.
With that chick.
61.
Well, that's not including the people that he lined up either.
No.
So let's say he killed 70 people total in that 12 years. There could be more like that.
Yeah. And he made the point of saying, one of my finest works. And I was like, okay, I fucked up. I saw it, and it was really fucked up. And I was like, damn. And that's one of the finest works he ever made.
Man.
Like, holy shit.
Okay, so I'm gonna give the bullet points. I'll give bullet points. So, again, we're seeing these incidents at different parts of his life. There's no real lead up to the incident. You just see the incident. You're seeing a highlight reel of this guy's life through murder. So he shows up with the family. It's a mom and two boys.
Two boys, one older than the other.
Yep, and he's talking about hunting, all this stuff, and he quickly turns the conversation to hunting is awful, hunting is this, hunting is that. Then he goes into a monologue saying when you hunt, you take out the children first because the mom and the dad can live without the kids, but the kids can't live without the mom and the dad.
Oh, okay, so let me explain this a little bit. I'm not going to, a little bit better, but yeah, so the scene cuts out. You're no longer seeing Jack or the family anymore, and it shows a picture of a fawn, of two fawns, and the mother doe. Yep. And it sort of shows how they walk, and the mother fawn, the doe's in front, and the two fawns follow behind her.
Right.
Like the smallest of them in the far back. And so he says it's perfect for when you're hunting, because if you take the mother doe out, then two fawns are sure to die. But you can't just take the small fawn. It's weird how he explains it.
Because there's a lot of irony in what he says during his murders.
But basically he says...
It's a stupid irony, really.
It's a shame that whatever family... Did he say his family? Or...
I think so.
Maybe. He said his family didn't line up like he wanted them to. And then the scene cuts out, and they're hiding. You just see the mother and the two children cowering behind like a tree stump that's been...
Right, so he's got a hunting rifle, and he's popping shots at him, and one of the kids decides to run. Now, if you watch the rated R version, all you see is through the scope, you see the kid running, he fires, and the kid kind of like starts to fall, but you don't see any blood. In the director's cut, you see this kid's kneecap get blown off. The kid falls, and then he puts another round right into his abdomen or in his chest area to make sure he's dead. And this is not like it's not overdone, but it's not exactly easy on the eyes either. It's very real.
It's very off-putting of how real it seems.
Yeah, it's like they might as well have used a real body.
That whole incident 3 was so off-putting because when the little boy is running across the field and he shoots, there's no cut scene. There's no...
Nope, you just see it.
Like if you were actually shooting a rifle, you see...
Because all you see is through that scope.
Through the scope. All you see is the crosshairs on the little boy. He shoots, and then this poor kid's leg from the knee gets chopped in half. It's just dangling now. He falls over.
But it's still attached. It's fucked up.
Like 3/4 of this kid's knee from the kneecap, the patella, like all the way back.
So then the mother runs and cradles the kid. Doesn't tap the mom yet. Then a kid, the other boy, pops up from the tree stump. And again, in the rated R version, you see the crosshairs line up on the kid's head, and then there's a flash. But that's all you see, and it cuts right to the blanket scene.
And in the director's cut,
you see that kid's fucking head pop. You see blood come out. He just fucking stands there and then drops.
He just boom, and then like.
But he like stays there.
Oh yeah. Like pink mist, fucking half his head is now blowing out from the back.
And then he falls.
And then he falls down
so
dead.
Then, now, because again, I've seen the director's cut of the blanket scene. I've seen the director's cut and the rated R. In the rated R version, what happens is it's a very, very tight, close shot. And all you see is a little boy's arm is propped up like this with a twig. Oh, man. So he's got the kid's bodies propped up. If you watch the rated R version, I like this a lot more than the director's cut because it leaves it to your brain to think what could be going on. Because all you see is an arm like this that's propped up, and then Jack goes, "I think your son wants some pie." And he forces the mother, who's still alive, to get a spoonful of pie into the dead kid's mouth. And then that's all you see. In the director's cut, you see that, but it pans out to a wide shot, and it's Jack sitting on a tree stump with his rifle. The two kids are like propped up. The kid with the blown off knee, his knee's just like fucking hanging out.
There's like maggots on it.
The mom is just petrified. This poor woman is just petrified.
In between both kids, both dead kids strung up next to her, and it is fucking...
It's horrible.
Horrific.
It's macabre doesn't even describe. And we're not making this up.
No, this is one incident.
Like, you can't make this up. You really can't. And so what I was going to say earlier is, like, the violence in this scene to me isn't needed. It's really not. If they would have taken the route of the rated R version and left it all to your head but not shown it, that would have been better. I would have much preferred that. But the fact they show it to you, it's like, fucking why? And the thing is, the best way I can sum up the way this made me feel is if you locked me in a room for 48 hours and forced me to come up with fucked up shit, because I'm a fucking human and I like social interaction, don't have any food and water, I'm gonna come up with fucked up shit just so I can leave. Right? I'm gonna come up with some really bad stuff. But I'm not gonna come up with that. I couldn't come up with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how to come up with that, personally. So anyway, so then the final shot, I'm sorry. So as he's talking to the mom, he goes, what? The mom is just bawling at this point. He goes, what's your favorite number? She says 12. That ends up being the amount of time he leads her to let her run away. She runs, shoots her in the back, she crawls away, he's following the blood trail, finds her, domes her in the back. We're dead. Then lays her out with the 2 kids and a bunch of crows, like that hunting party that he was saying was so vile in the beginning.
So before any of this happens, it's almost like he explains exactly what he's going to do and what's about to happen.
He does that with every murder.
Yeah. So, but it's very subtle, and he's talking about the hunting, like in Europe, and how they parade the animals after they're done killing them.
And he says it's so horrible. And it's a
terrible thing, and they're talking about tracking dogs too. He talks to the boy about a tracking dog, and he tracked the mom with their blood until he found her in a ditch. And this is the scene that got me about like how realistic it was when he shot her. Was I don't know how I was like, how do you get somebody to react like that in the manner that they did so she's lying in a ditch. It looks like she got shot in the arm, and she's just shaking and crying. Like you can hear her just terrified, face down in a ditch where she was trying to hide. He's whistling and just being a fucking creep.
Yeah.
Walks up to her, has the gun in his hip, and just fucking shoots her. And the way the body moved and reacted, and the blood, it was just terrible, dude. It was so
horrifically perfect.
Horrifically accurate,
yeah.
I feel like.
So, but that's not the part that bothered me. Like,
yeah,
the picnic scene director's cut, that fucks with me. When I saw that, I was like, oh god, that's fucking horrible. Like, that bothered me. It did. What really fucked with me, and I'm conflicted on this, and I'll tell you why. This is what fucked with me. So after that, the screen goes black, and then it opens up, and he's got this ice. He's got a walk-in freezer where he keeps all his cadavers.
A bunch of bodies.
They're
not even kept like in.
They're just thrown.
They're literally just tossed.
They're just thrown in there.
They're tossed on boxes and
he's
shelves.
walking in, and he's dragging one of the little boy's bodies, and he starts talking about how he studied taxidermy, and he learned about rigor mortis and how all of that works. So what he does is he gets wires, like fucking metal wires. He also gets some kind of roping system. And he starts to, let's be honest, he mutilates this little boy's body. And he starts fixating it in a position to his liking. But you don't really, it's not, the scene where he's doing that is not bloody at all. It's not gory. It's really close up. It's like a hand or an arm. You don't really see what's going on. But then what happens, you see a back shot of Matt Dillon's character. And you could tell without even seeing his face, he's marveling at something.
He steps back and waves like that, and all you see is this mutilated body of the little boy. It was the one with the kneecap, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the little boy. He now is calling Grumpy because the boy was grumpy when they went hunting, when they first went out there, and he calls him Grumpy, and he has this arm pitched up like this in a wave.
But it's like canted almost, right?
It's disturbing how he did it. And then he has this poor child's face pinned up with like a Chelsea grin. Just fucking...
Yeah, pretty much.
Like Joker smile, fucking.
And then like the one eye's closed, but the other eye's like drooping down.
Yeah.
And the leg is out, but it's the shot leg, so it's broken wrong.
He didn't even fix that. He left that.
And so in the rated R version, you barely see it. It goes boom.
Oh.
Quick shot, you see it. But then it cuts back to Matt Dillon, and he's waving to it. Cuts back real quick to the kid, goes back. But it's real fast. And the director's cut, it lingers.
It lingers, and you see it throughout the rest of the film. Every time he goes in that freezer, they deliberately
and they get to a point where they're forcing you to see it, right?
Yeah, and every scene, almost every shot in the freezer now.
In the last act
in
of the
the
movie.
back corner, you can see an arm, you can see a leg, you can see like half his face.
But when he starts lining up those,
almost see
so
it.
towards the end of the movie, he starts lining up people to shoot them all in the head. He's like, they're all lined up like this. But when they're focused on Matt Dillon, so the line of people are here, Matt Dillon's here, the kid's here. Yeah. Like, he's in the shot the entire time. That was in the R movie. So that was my biggest gripe at the movie. My biggest gripe on a ideological level, like physically, that's the worst. That is horrible. Oh, yeah. There's a scene where he cuts off a woman's breast. I'd imagine it's very rough in the director's cut.
Bro, just said he straight cut her titty off, bro.
Yeah.
He fucking... It is disturbing. So in the beginning of the scene, he has his supposed girlfriend that he's pretending to have because he's a psychopath. And he's treating her like shit. And then at one point, he makes her get him a magic marker. And then
this is circling her breast.
And he draws lines around her breast in red magic marker. And
so you know what's about to happen.
Yeah, you're like, that's fucking weird. And then she freaks out, runs away. But anyways, it cuts back. He's about to fucking kill her. And then on the line, he gets a knife and just fucking slices her fucking boob off.
Yeah, so you see that director's cut, and the R, you don't see it. Which I'm very happy about. And see, that idea of where you don't see the most horrific thing, that, in my opinion, is one of the most perfect things you can do in a horror movie. That's what John Carpenter got so right in Halloween. With the exception of a few kills, and the kills that you do see aren't bloody at all in the very first Halloween, but what you don't see, what it forces your brain to imagine, that's what's important.
Yeah. It lets your mind
mess
wander.
With your psyche. Don't just...
And see, that's what I'm saying about the spoon feeding. They spoon-fed you everything. You didn't have to imagine anything. You didn't have to work at all to think about what this movie is or what's going on. They give it all to you. No filter, fucking sliced titty. And then he goes outside and he slaps it on a cop car. And then later on in the movie, he has a
wallet of the dry breast skin.
He has a titty wallet.
What the fuck is that?
It's fucked up.
It's horrible. And so the ideological thing that I don't like is he starts saying that the artist is perfect in making his art, and he understands why all these artists do their things, and he's praising the idea of an artist and the imagery that they're showing. For the biggest, it's probably a 45-second chunk, but for most of that 45 seconds, it's Hitler. And then from Hitler, they go to Mussolini, Stalin, back to Hitler, and on to the next scene.
And between those shots, they're showing their horrific concentration camp, unfiltered video of the corpses just being pushed into graves, thrown on trucks. And it's the actual shots that were taken in World War II.
That's the director, Lars von Trier. Is because to
me, that was probably the most horrific part of the movie, maybe because that's real. That was no longer someone's imagination. That was no longer CGI. That was no longer practical effects. This actually happened, and now we're showing it to you.
And we sympathize with it as a creative, yeah. And so the reason why I say it's Lars von Trier is he made a movie a while back. I've yet to see it, but I want to because I've heard it's quite good. It's called Melancholia, I believe. It's with Kirsten Dunst. And so there's a video, and for those of you who want to look it up on YouTube, it's called Lars von Trier Understands Hitler. Now, Lars von Trier is a native German. And as a byproduct of that, his English is not very good. So I think that really works against him in this clip. But the long story short is I think they're at Cannes. And because of this statement at Cannes, he got banned for about a year, I think. And so he's at Cannes and he's like...
What's Cannes?
It's a film festival.
Okay.
So I think it's somewhere in Europe. And he says... He's basically making jokes about how he believed at first that he was a Jewish person, he liked being a Jew, and he made jokes about not liking being a Jew. But again, his English sucks, his sarcasm is horrible, so you can't people are like, oh fuck. And so then he moves on to saying, yeah, I love finding out that I was a German, I love being a German, and then he straight up says, I understand Hitler the man. There are some things that he did that weren't great. but I understand where he literally says, I understand where he's coming from. Now, whether that's a joke or not, you know, so I already knew about that incident. I hadn't seen the video. I watched the video today, actually. I knew about the incident going into the house that Jack built.
Yeah.
So when I see the Hitler imagery, it's like, okay, so this dude, Lars von Trier, may or may not be a Nazi sympathizer. Probably is. But then watching the video today, I was like, holy shit. And dude, if you're watching the rest of the panel, they are so fucking uncomfortable. And Kirsten Dunst is right next to him. It's him, Kirsten. And she's about to fucking lose her mind. Like, she's about to explode. She is so embarrassed. Because what do you do with that?
And then you almost like, I love playing devil's advocate. So like, you brought up the language barrier. That's a huge barrier to get past. And then like, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't agree with the way he said it. If he said it in the way,
because you can't.
You can't, right? But you almost have to like kind of dig down a little bit and be like, okay, it was, and this would be me sitting in that audience, whatever. Like, did he mean to say that in the way he meant to say it? This guy doesn't speak English natively, whatever you want, how you want to say that.
Well, in the moment,
like,
you don't really give a fuck, I would imagine.
Right.
And so, and after looking into this movie, when it premiered at Cannes, actually, before I say this, is there any more spoiler talk you want to talk about? Let's talk about the ending, actually.
Yes. Okay. So this is what I actually liked about the movie. So one thing I really did like, and maybe because it left me with some thought. Actually, I didn't have to. It didn't spoon feed it to me a little bit. Was so the guy Virgil. Is it Verge?
It's Verge. So I'll give my thoughts on that, but his name in the movie is Verge.
So his name in the movie is Verge, and this is the guy he's talking to throughout the movie while they're showing what's going on. And so at one point you can hear water, and so I hear him, and then Jack saying, "I don't feel so good." And he says, "Well, at this
acid in his mouth."
The acid. He's like, "Well, at this depth, it's the acid in the water." And I was like, and the first thing that popped in my mind was, okay, on this something about a journey where I'm taking you. And I was like, first thing popped in my mind, okay, Greek mythology, Chiron, he's taking him on the fairy Styx, on the river of Styx down to hell. And immediately popped in my head, and I was like, cool. I'm glad I thought of that. I'm Mr. Sophistication. I hope that pans out later on in the movie. And of course it did. I was right.
Well, right.
And so, yeah, you do find out later on that he's taking him to hell. Like, he is his guide to hell, and that's their play on Chiron and the Greek mythology and the river Styx, personally.
Right.
And so they bring him down to hell, and Jack makes a statement that he wants to know everything. He wants to know everything. So Verge brings him down to the lowest level of hell, the lowest level, like the lowest ring of hell, Dante's Inferno style.
Right.
And he says, this is the lowest level. There's like a broken bridge. And he's like, yeah, that leads out of the underworld. Like Greek mythology, it was handed to you. And so, he makes a comment that says, I'm not supposed to bring you here. This isn't your stop.
You're a couple levels up.
You're a couple levels up. And this got me thinking was one of two things. One, okay, so if he doesn't belong in the lowest level of hell, what is the director's idea of the most fucked up human being that belongs in that part of the hell? Because in the movie, Jack is a horrific, probably one of the most horrendous human beings that I would ever witness or ever even imagine.
We've only described 2 of the 3 incidents.
Right. And so that got me thinking, like, oh, fuck. Like, okay, well, how fucked up is this dude's imagination thinking there's 2 levels of people that are worse than this dude? And then there's a part in the movie where Jack asks, like, hey, can I climb around this wall, around this, like, this pit to the lowest level of hell?
This is an actual circle.
Yeah, it's an actual circle. And he's like, can I climb around this wall to get to the other side of the bridge to climb out? Like, to get out, to leave the underworld. And he's like, many have tried, but no one succeeded. And throughout the movie, they talk about Jack's narcissism. And Verge knows he's a narcissist, and he's going to... So in my mind, I'm like, okay, was this Verge tricking him or, like, trying to get him to send himself to the lowest level of hell because that's where he knew he belonged. So he tricked him into trying to climb around.
Right.
Because obviously the bridge was broken in enough of a way, like, it looked like, I don't know if maybe this is the way it was shot, it looked like you could jump across it. like the gap in the bridge.
If you're athletic enough.
If you were athletic enough, yeah. And so, I don't know. In my mind, I was was that his way of tricking him so he would actually end up in the lowest level of hell by his own fault because of his own narcissism, thinking he could climb this steep wall, like with no experience whatsoever, I would imagine.
Yeah.
To get to the other side.
He's got no chalk in hell.
Yeah, and he sees him. Yeah, he sees him. He sees him like start the wall. He gets about a quarter way, and Verge just goes and walks.
Oh,
back,
he fucks right off.
He fucks right off. And so I imagine. So I don't know. So one or two thoughts about that. Those are my two thoughts. But I did like how it left it up for me to think about.
So what I liked about the ending was the end of the movie, the last act, is he amasses an amount of bodies and he creates an actual house of bodies. And he makes a house of bodies, and what happens is the police are coming to, they found him out, they're coming to his little ice place, and they start using a saw or something to start cutting open the door.
Yeah.
And so a portal opens up in the center of this little house of bodies, and he starts climbing down, and it's like a manhole into a sewer, and Verge is there. There's this whole sequence where it's like super close, and they're walking through the water. So what I think happened there in reality is I think this whole movie is based on the fact that Jack is a very unreliable narrator, much like Joker and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Yeah.
So it's a lot for interpretation. So what I think actually happened in reality, of that movie's reality, is the police got in and killed him. I think the police got in. This is a theory that my girl brought up, and I agree with it. Credit where credit's due, she came up with it. I agree with that. I think that the police got in and killed him. And the aftermath, this epilogue, is him going to hell. Like, his soul going to hell, right? Because like, if you notice when they're going down, they're in those bubbles. Right? They're like these weird bubbles, like, descending down. So I think that's, like, his soul going to hell, and they go through all these weird things. They see the workers in the fields and all that. Like, that's supposed to be, like, their paradise. But he can't get there. Because Verge is like, I can't take you there because you're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, the fields of Elysium. Like, straight from Greek mythology.
Yeah, so he takes him... Start going down, and like he says, before they get to the part where he's about to climb the wall, he starts seeing almost like the art of hell. I would say, like they show a couple of the rings or the circles of hell, and it's super artistic and it's fucking gorgeous. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that was just like, if this movie like finally became an art movie in the last 20 minutes. And dude, I'm not gonna lie, that ending part of that was awesome. So then he's climbing, and honestly, I thought that whole climbing sequence, in reality, probably no longer than 30 seconds, but it was like 20 seconds longer than it should have been. He's gonna fall. Like, he's gonna fall.
Yeah, he stayed in the middle for
he's
probably
fucking sitting there
20 seconds longer than he should have stayed there. Like, you knew he was gonna fall.
Yeah, you knew he was gonna fall. But anyway, throughout the movie, he takes pictures of his art, right, of the corpses. And what he's obsessed with are the negatives. So I thought was really cool was, on top of the fact this is the only movie that I can think of, let alone a movie that I've seen about a serial killer or a bad person in general, where they die in the end and you literally see them go to hell. Like, that almost made the grumpy thing okay, because it's like, fuck you, you went to hell.
Right.
Like, fuck you, dude. So, but as he falls into the pit of hell, like I said, he's obsessed with the negatives of these images. The entire screen
goes negative. He's obsessed with the darkness of light in the negative,
and he gets what he fucking deserves.
Yeah, he goes straight.
He gets what he fucking deserves. And then the credits play "Get the Road, Jack."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Road, Jack.
Yeah. So that's great. Great.
So go watch the movie.
Go watch the movie. All right. Flip the fucking crowns back on. All right, we're gonna end on one last nerdy note, a very bright one. WandaVision. We got a trailer about 2 weeks ago for WandaVision.
I'm excited, dude.
Give me your thoughts, because you just watched it about an hour ago.
Yeah, he told me to watch it. Forgot.
Yeah.
He was doing some sound testing, and I watched it while doing it. Holy shit, it looks good. It looks really good.
It's interesting more than anything.
It looks. I'm really excited behind the psychology behind it. I think a little bit more. Like brain teasers of
Well, what's reality?
What's reality? What's not? what's Wanda going through? What is happening?
Small positive, though. Doesn't really matter to the story too much, I don't think. But hey, we got Kitty from That 70s Show. Deborah Jo Rupp is coming back for a TV show. That would be cool to see. I love her. She's great. It sucks that Danny Madison turned out to be a rapist. That's awful. I can't really watch that show anymore because that sucks. Like, that really sucks that he assaulted those women. And if that's true, fuck that guy. Put him under the fucking prison. But we're getting a wholesome character back, so that's cool. Yeah, man. So, it's not confirmed, but one of the major influences is supposed to be House of M.
Oh.
And so for those of you who are not comic nerds, like the two people sitting at this table.
That means all of you.
So House of M is a X-Men storyline where Wanda creates an alternate universe. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's where only mutants are around, right? It's been years since I read that book. It's one of the extremes. It's either mutants never existed or it's only mutants. I think it's mutants always existed and
it's
humans.
only mutants.
It's only mutants, right?
And that maybe, I can't remember if even humans were in it.
Right.
And if they were like the outcasts.
They took the mutants.
They flipped it. Yeah, they flipped it.
So they're going to alter that story, obviously, because there's no fucking mutants in the MCU yet. They got the rights and they're doing dick with it yet. Look at you, Kevin Feige, do something.
You literally have Deadpool. He can just fucking... he can literally merge, like, the gap. He's the fourth wall breaker. Just use him in a stupid scene, and it's done. You hands down, no one's going to ask any questions.
Have him officially apologize for Dark Phoenix. That would be good.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be great. Can we get an apology for that fucking movie?
What was up with that?
Oh, my God. Anyway, so they're going to use that to bring in the X-Men, which is fine. That's cool. I really wish that they could, like, and they're not going to. I understand this. But, I mean, good Lord. All it takes is for one of them to release an official statement saying, hey, guess what, guys? Those X-Men movies were nice, but they're no longer canon. If you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. But we're bringing the young cast back. James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Sophie... Who the fuck decided to cast Sophie Turner, one of the greatest young actresses we have right now, and not use her? Are you shitting me?
Yeah, that was...
Stupid. Absolute stupidity.
They had the greatest lineup.
And they fucked it.
Almost all of superhero history.
Like,
and they just fucking... They blew it. They literally just...
Oh, it angers me beyond belief.
Sat on their hands.
So...
Thumbs firmly planted. And said... Sorry, no.
Yeah, so look, I have faith in their casting. They've knocked it out 9 times out of 10. But yeah, so that's what they're going to use to bring in the X-Men. That'll be interesting. It's going to directly lead into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, directed by Sam Raimi. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Like we said earlier, Spider-Verse is very much going to be a thing, more than likely. So hopefully we're not going to get Toby anything in the fucking WandaVerse or WandaVision, but we're probably going to get that in the movie.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. And I think this, kind of going on a tangent here, I think this whole idea of the Spider-Verse, I think that's a direct answer to DC's fandom event where they announced fucking Flash is pretty much going to be the Flashpoint Paradox. Oh, yeah. And how, like, Michael Keaton's Batman's back, and how they're bringing Ben Affleck back, and then how, like, on the Arrow universe, they did Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they made, like, Smallville canon and Titans and Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing, and all these things, they made it canon into one giant multiverse. And then in DC fandom, this is all bullet points for people, they said that Joker's in the multiverse, the Walking Phoenix was on a different Earth, Robert Pattinson's Batman, multiverse with different Earths. So they're acknowledging the fact they have all these Earths. So with DC finally figuring their shit out, Marvel was like, hey, we got multiverse too, because they do. Thought it's not as strong, because they don't lean into it as much in the comics, but they've got it. Like, Crisis in the comic books is DC's bread and butter. That's like their thing, right?
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think the biggest thing Marvel's done with the multiverse stuff is probably Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Where they've actually made different comic lines based on
not only is it like the biggest thing they've done in recent memory, but it's also just the most accepted.
Yeah.
Like,
Because it's like, oh, I can accept
because the only other thing they've done in Spider-Verse multiverse is like the Earth 616, which is like the main comic books, and then the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
And then when they collided and they created like Earth Prime, or whatever the fuck it is. So
That's so long, dude.
anyway, I'm glad that they're doing that. I'm very excited to see what they do. I mean, I could honestly do without X-Men for a while. And
I don't know, dude. Logan was
dope.
that's all I needed.
But that's another reason why I kind of do without X-Men for a bit.
Yeah.
Dude, I want the Fantastic Four. Like, I want the Fantastic Four, and I want it done justice. That Josh Trank movie.
Not gonna happen.
I don't care what Josh Trank says, if he has a real version of that or not. That's a shit movie. And you haven't heard from Josh Trank since, so maybe it was his fault. No doubt studio meddling, but probably his fault. It makes the original ones look good. Silver Surfer was shit. I don't mind the first one.
Chris Evans made those movies.
Oh yeah. But like, but I want a good Fantastic Four because I know Fantastic Four can be good. They just need to lean. That's the thing. They need to lead into how weird those stories are, and how just it's a dude that can stretch, a guy that's on fire, a giant rock pile, and a woman that creates force fields and becomes invisible. They're weird. You need to lean into that. So I would love it if they did Fantastic Four. I mean, I think the obvious. I mean, you could give your own point of view, but the obvious casting for Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic is fucking John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
Oh, hands down.
That's the
hands
easiest
down.
casting, it's the most accepted casting. Like,
I would love that. I would love to see that on screen.
Right? Isn't that the most obvious? Like, I don't know.
I'm pronouncing his name right. John Krasinski.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you obviously everyone knows him from The Office, but if you haven't seen any of his other works, you need to. He is such a versatile.
It's great.
And Jack, the TV show on Amazon.
I still need to see that.
Yeah.
I heard it's great.
That's not a shameless plug, by the way. It's actually just a really good show. He does such a
sponsor me, please. Born on a budget, sponsor me, please.
Going from The Office and then watching that.
Oh,
dude,
yeah,
incredible difference.
Well, see, and the thing with The Office too, like, it's a great show.
We're not going to talk about The Office.
The last season sucked, but he was great.
Oh yeah.
So I'm glad that he stuck around as an actor. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think they're the easiest casting for that. I don't know who the fuck you pick for anybody else. I mean, the easy casting, in my opinion, for Human Torch is Zac Efron because he's really good at playing the douchebag. Like,
I would say Zac Efron or oh my god, I can't think of his name. James Franco's brother.
Dave Franco.
Dave Franco. I think Dave Franco would do a pretty good job as the Human Torch.
He wouldn't be bad.
Personally.
I wouldn't mind that.
I mean, because think of the movie Grown Ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the perfect just jockey asshole.
So
shredded.
I got one for you. He'd be a great Magneto. Now that he's done with DC for the time being.
Who?
Michael Fassbender. Not Michael Fassbender. I'm sorry. Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon as Magneto.
Okay.
An angry Magneto. A Magneto. Like, don't get me wrong. Magneto from the original X-Men, like the older guy, I forget, Ian McKellen, right?
Yeah.
He was an angry Magneto. He's very resentful. Mutants only. Humans suck. But I'm talking like a vicious Magneto. Like a little bit of what we got from Fassbender, but just expanded upon. Michael Shannon could do that. He is a psychotic guy. That dude is insane.
Good dude.
That dude is insane. Like, I would love Michael Shannon as...
Who would you cast as the Thing?
The Thing? Oh, dude, I don't know. Find a fuck. It doesn't matter.
Bruce Willis.
It's all CGI. Fuck it. It's all CGI. Fuck it. Even if it's the skinniest dude in the world, he's gonna be in a fucking CGI fucking pajama suit with all the balls sticking on him. He's gonna be in a mocap suit. Who fucking cares?
That's fair.
Just make him not a shitty actor. I would honestly I would kind of prefer some no-namer. Just find somebody nobody really knows.
Make him big, yeah. Give him a chance. Give him a shot.
Yeah, get the guy that nobody really knows and see if he's good. Because again, if he does suck, recast him.
Right.
Because they recasted the Hulk, which is a huge misstep in my opinion. I really would have loved to see what Edward Norton would have done. I get that he's a dick behind the scenes, or rumored, a dick behind the scenes, but Edward Norton's a great fucking actor.
Yeah.
I don't know how well he would have gelled with the way the MCU went. So maybe that kind of influenced it.
Yeah.
It's weird to see him in that role. Maybe because I think Mark Ruffalo is so passive in that
I think
role.
Mark Ruffalo did a great job as Professor Hulk. I think that was like the perfect niche toward the end.
I hated Professor Hulk.
Really?
I hated it. Because, like, it's cool, but, like, he fucking got his arm fried and then did nothing. He did nothing the entire movie. He figured shit out. Like, he didn't even figure out time travel. Tony did.
I guess you're right. There was, like, no point in him doing that.
He didn't. I get that he, like, found inner peace, and that's great. But, like, as far as contributing, what did he do that Tony couldn't have done? Bro,
lived.
Kill Hawkeye. Kill Hawkeye. Fuck it. Nat's dead. He can't live without his best friend. Dead.
He has a family, bro.
Nah. So did Tony.
That is true.
You know, like what did Banner do that Tony couldn't? Because Tony's the reason why they travel back in time.
You're not wrong.
You know, so and like the Hulk in the MCU, the Mark Ruffalo Hulk was at his best in the first Avengers.
Yeah.
Like that scene, I love it because it showed that Joss Whedon cared about the Marvel universe. He don't fuck about DC clearly, but he cared about Marvel because they referenced a deleted scene from the Incredible Hulk movie. So there's a deleted scene from the Incredible Hulk movie where Edward Norton goes out to this like ice, like middle of nowhere, like Antarctica, and shoots himself. But like straight up, it's dark. Puts a fucking revolver in his mouth. But as he's about to pull the trigger, he becomes the Hulk. And like it's a really cool scene. As the gun drops, becomes the Hulk. He smashes the ice, and if you freeze frame it, as the ice is flying towards the screen, you see Captain America's frozen body. It's pretty cool. But they referenced that in the Avengers. You know, he's like, I put a gun in my mouth and shot, but the other dude spit it out.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great line in a really good scene. Like, Mark Ruffalo in the Avengers is a really troubled dude. And he still is in Age of Ultron, but all of that gets smothered by this stupid love romance subplot with him and Black Widow. Which doesn't go anywhere, and that whole the sun's coming down or whatever, that's just as a butt of a joke in the rest of the MCU.
That was so dumb. I don't know.
Why? Who asked for that?
Nobody. Nobody asked for that. There was no point to that. It was so stupid.
What would have been better is Nat for like a movie or movie
You know,
and a
this
half.
has become a lot of us bitching. I just realized. I think we've been bitching this entire podcast right now.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah. But no, like, they should have had Nat fall in love with Steve. Steve just rejects her because he's a fucking wholesome Captain America and he loves Peggy. And they go back to being friends. That would have been easier. Right?
Eat shit.
I still need to see that movie.
Oh yeah. That's from a movie called Knives Out. It's pretty funny.
I still need to see
really
that
good.
fucking movie.
Pretty good movie.
Well, here's something I have been curious about.
Okay.
And this is not comic books. It's real life. And we'll end it. Well, we'll try not to end it here. It's kind of not a very good taste in the mouth. So, as your day job, you are a firefighter.
That is correct.
Okay, so
Put wet stuff on hot stuff.
We've been in this lockdown since I'll round down and say March. And so as I'm not a firefighter, I don't go out and do stuff like that. So but being out in public myself, going to the grocery store, going wherever I'm going, the selling times that I do, you could like, as time has progressed, especially after the George Floyd thing, you could kind of just like, there's a palpable tension out there. How is that for you when you go on calls?
So I won't talk about that real quick. I'll get back to that. So my thing on that is I really noticed it one day when I got off shift and I was in my uniform, right? And we have a blue uniform, kind of looks like a cop's uniform. And for a long time they weren't letting us wear our badge shirts because they have a badge and it looks like we're a cop. And
right. And it sucks it gets to that point.
yeah, and they didn't want to like us to get mistaken for whatever reason, you know.
Right.
But anyways, so I got off work. I didn't have my bad shirt on. I was just going back to my apartment with my stuff. And my neighbor at the time, oh my gosh, I can't even think his name at the top of my head for a second. I only met him a couple times. But him and a couple other people were sitting on their like kind of patio in the front at their apartment. And I was walking down the stairs and I heard him talking about what had been going on recently at that time, which was like cops are bad or whatever, cops aren't bad.
Right.
And it was him, a lady, and then another gentleman, another taller gentleman who I just not making any political statements with this, but he just, you know, he was open carrying, right? So obviously he was a believer of the Second Amendment.
Right.
And so I was coming down the stairs and I could hear them talking about shitty cops and bad cops and how cops need to leave people alone. And I was walking down the stairs. I heard the lady go, shush, shush, shush. Look at, there's a cop there now. And I was like, oh, fuck. I walked down the stairs like all the way. And the gentleman that was carrying was like, are you an idiot? That's a firefighter. What are you talking about? And he stopped me and he's like, hey, thank you for your service. I appreciate it. Shook my hand and, you know, went about my day.
Right.
But that just, it threw me off so completely that like, it seemed like she was so ready to have an altercation with somebody she didn't even see completely, just based on what I was wearing, just for no reason, almost.
Yeah.
And it was very tense at that moment, and then it got immediately like it was solved. But it was only solved because I was a firefighter, because I am a firefighter. If I'd been a police officer, and I don't know where that conversation would have went after that, or if it would have gone anywhere.
I would hope that if a police officer was in that situation, they just walked away.
Right.
That's what you hope.
But how can you walk away from a situation like that when I literally live next door?
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I definitely agree.
So that's my thought about that. But like on calls, you asked. Whoops. So you asked how it is on calls, and for the most part, I feel like I haven't really noticed it. The tension between people. And you're gonna have to, sorry, ask that question again.
No, just like, because I go out and it's like, and I think it's exacerbated because everyone's wearing a mask. So this down, you don't see.
Yeah.
The 90% of that expression that anybody makes, you're not seeing it. And so you could be smiling at somebody, but if you're not over exaggerating it, you're staring them down.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. There's just, and then like with everything going on, there just, in my opinion, there seems to be, there's like a palpable, I don't know how to describe it, a palpable tension. And like for me, like I tend to have a sense of awareness anyway. It's just smart to do.
Yeah.
But like now more so than ever, I'm just like, okay, who's around me? Who's really around me? And you know, and I'm human. Excuse me. I'm human, and that I've caught myself I never said anything out loud or acted on it, but like I catch myself sometimes. My brain is almost making snap decisions or snap judgments about certain people for no reason, and I have to kind of step back and like, hey, that's not the I still want to believe it's the world we're living in.
Yeah.
And you know, that's not the world we're living in. I just feel like there's a lot of, like everyone just like, I was really hoping this would happen with the lockdown. And it didn't by and large due to the George Floyd incident. But I was really, like, don't be wrong, the lockdown was bad. And people lost their jobs, people lost their livelihoods, their dreams. I'm never going to negate that. It was very bad. And it shouldn't have lasted as long as it is. We're still fucking in it. But like, if there's anything positive to come out of that lockdown, out of this lockdown, you would hope that in that first couple months, you're just like, all right, everyone's forced to be at home. Take a fucking breath. Calm down. Because tension's been rising since Trump got into office. Whether he wanted it to or not, they were just rising. So just take a fucking breath.
And so here's my 2 cents about that. I think it did almost the opposite. I think people were put together some people are put together that shouldn't be together all the time, 24/7.
No, I agree.
And I talked to one of my buddies who's a cop about that, and I was like, hey, how are call volumes for you guys right now?
Fucking domestics and suicides
And he
shot
brought
through the roof.
up, and he said domestic violence and suicides have just swamped us in calls.
Yeah.
Because people who shouldn't have, not saying everybody, but people who probably shouldn't have been together in the first place are now forced to be together 24/7, unemployed, stressing about money, stressing about life.
And I totally get it. But again, maybe it was false hope, but I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally fucking get it. So that's what I'm asking. Is
Okay,
like,
so yeah,
were you
so-
able to like feel? Was there a difference in the air almost?
So I want to say yes and I want to say no because for the vast majority of people, vast majority of people don't hate firefighters. Most people like firefighters because we're here to help.
Got the nice calendars too.
We got the nice calendars.
Yes, you do.
And so when I go on calls, it's usually, not all the time, it's usually the worst day in that person's life or one of the worst days of their life that they have to call 911. Like I think about when would I call 911? I don't think I've ever really called 911. Like for an emergency that I'm having, fortunately. I've been fortunate for that. But it kind of makes me think of how but how I'm talking to patients and how I'm dealing with them.
Right.
Is okay.
Which is smart.
This is serious enough that they called 911, a situation that I haven't put myself in because I haven't felt the need to yet. So if I needed to call 911, I'd probably be pretty freaked out.
Well, understandably.
So the tension's already there like that. So when you're on scene and you kind of, it's not a good thing, but you kind of tunnel vision a little bit and deal with what's going on around you.
Right.
And I've had to learn how to bring myself out of that and be aware of what's going on, because not everyone makes dumb decisions, but some people make dumb choices, and for whatever reason they don't want to accept the help and they become violent towards us for whatever reason they have, if they're on drugs, if they're on alcohol and any kind of substance, or they're just having a really shitty day. And it's because
there's a bad and horrible mental health problem in this country.
And maybe that's just like not in my brain, that I haven't turned that switched off on and off yet. But I feel like I'm always in that tense situation where I'm, like you were saying, being aware of what's going on around me, even while I'm dealing with like the certain thing I'm dealing with the patient, doing vitals, taking care of something, being aware of what's happening around me in case someone decides I'm gonna just fuck this dude's day up for whatever reason.
Right.
And so and then I get off shift.
Well, I mean, because I don't sorry to interrupt, but like that's almost how they would view you. Almost like this guy could fuck my day up. You have no intention of doing that. Obviously, you're a public servant. You want to help, but like again, people in those kind of heightened states of mind, they're like, is this guy gonna fucking kill me inadvertently or on purpose? Are they gonna fucking, because of whatever they've heard about the city or state that they're in, or what it really is. There's a lot of crazy fucking shit out there. So yeah, maybe you deal with that. Maybe people say, hey, this guy's gonna fucking kill me. This guy's gonna ruin my life. Certainly with police officers, but yeah, that led me to snap decision because the way you were dressed, the way she looked at you.
Right.
And she wasn't even in a bad situation. She was chilling. So what is it in that heightened,
I don't know what it is in that heightened state of mind. Like probably about a month or two ago, we dealt with a patient who had broken into a building, was high on some kind of substance, and possibly inebriated. He said he was on cocaine and alcohol together. Oof. And he broke into a building, butt ass naked, and was running around in glass. The cops had caught him and fixed the immediate wounds that need to be fixed, and we're holding him while we made entry and went up there to deal with the patient, do the patient care and make sure he's okay and do an assessment. And for whatever, he made a snap decision that he did not like one of the firefighters that was with us trying to help, and he was like, I don't like that guy. I don't like him. Get him away from me, or I'm gonna kill him. Yeah, and I was like, oh fuck. I was
Good God.
Like, oh shit. I was like, okay, hey, just back up. Let me
yeah,
he looked at me, and again, it's kind of hard to tell because I'm not a patient, so from their perspective, I have a mask on too. I have my N95. We're supposed to wear them on most calls, almost all calls, or some sort of mask. And I usually, 99% of the time, I wear my N95 just to keep myself safe.
Well, yeah.
And you can't see facial expressions. So I tried to mindly over exaggerate how I'm looking or smiling or feeling, so you can see it in my face, my eyes,
Right.
the subtle stuff. And so he looked at me. He's like, "You're cool. I like you." Yeah. And he was like, I trust you. And I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Cool." And I was like,
I get to go home today.
This guy likes me. All right, cool. So we'll deal with this. So, and then out of nowhere, we were helping him up, dressing his wounds, and we were trying to get him downstairs to go into the ambulance to get him to the hospital. And he was like, "I don't want to go. You guys are gonna kill me." And we're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" Got really tense really quick.
Yeah.
Because there was cops and firefighters all in the same room together, and we were like, "Hey, can you guys back up a little bit, give him some room?" And since he liked me, I was like, "Can you guys back up? I'll talk with him." And so kind of try to bring the situation down. Like, "Hey, no one's here to hurt you. We're here to help you. No one's here. No one's gonna try to kill you, man. Like, we're all in a safe spot."
Were police at the scene?
Yes, the police were in the room with us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they initially responded first.
Right.
Because it was a whole crazy SWAT standoff at first because they thought he was starting a fire.
Fuck.
And that's why they initially called us out right away, because they thought there was going to be a fire. But he ended up just spraying a fire extinguisher and it looked like smoke coming out of the window. Yeah, it was really weird. It was a weird situation.
Right.
And it just was really tense the entire time. Even after kind of everything calmed down, there was no fire, no one was dying, no one was getting like murdered. He was just heightened sense of whatever because he was inebriated or on some kind of substance. Everything was really just tense.
Right.
And it's hard to bring people down from that level to try to get them to calm down and see, hey, this is what's actually happening. We're trying to help you. Don't worry, no one's going to hurt you. We're trying to get you help. And when people don't, and not even people who are inebriated or on substances, just normal people who are panicking.
Yeah.
It's that fight or flight kind of sense, and they're freaking out.
Right, and all they're seeing is uniforms.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so it's tense, dude. It's always tense, maybe, because I've been in the weird spot where, since I've been a firefighter, COVID's been a thing.
Right.
COVID was a thing when I was in my training academy, and then we got done with it, and we came straight out into COVID. Yeah. It was.
Yeah,
it's been weird. It's been really weird. It's been a weird year for me and for everybody. Yeah, it's been a weird year for me and my classmates because we started off at the academy, no COVID, nothing's going on. We're going about our day, and then probably about middle, 3/4 of the way through, everyone started talking about COVID. Like you start hearing about it in China, and it was like funny, ha. Because it's in China.
That's how I heard about it too. Is a meme.
Yeah, it's funny, ha. It's in China. It's not
and then all of
here.
a sudden, it's like,
and then out of nowhere, boom!
Fuck.
It's in America. Everyone's free. Everyone is panicking now.
Dude, hopefully not you watching, but a lot of people went out and took toilet paper as if COVID was a fucking laxative.
And it threw me off. We were at our training facility all day. There from whatever time we get there, from 5 o'clock in the morning all the way to 5 o'clock at night. And we're dealing with that. We're not worried about COVID. We're worrying about becoming firefighters. Right. And then we come and you get off work and you go home, and now I'm worrying about not just having to study and get ready for tomorrow.
How do I stay impeccably healthy?
How do I stay healthy? How do I find toilet paper? And how do I buy food?
Yeah.
I went to the supermarket, and there was
nothing.
There was nothing there. I was like, fuck.
Nothing. I remember that.
All our classmates were burning upwards of 5,000 calories a day, working out all day long, and then trying to go and make something work with what food I can find at the supermarket that's healthy. I can't just eat ramen noodles and perform well. It was a weird situation. It was like Twilight Zone up the training facility, and you came down. It was like, hey, snap back to reality. Oop, there goes gravity. Oop, there goes toilet paper. Oop, there goes all the fucking beef. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, no, that's...
It was weird going back and forth. And now that we're done with that, I'm in the field. It's, again, I don't have a sense, personally, I don't have a sense of what it was like before for everybody, for the most part, like a great idea. But now everything's really tense. Everyone's worried about COVID. Everyone's worried about catching COVID. And it's
rough.
It's always tense.
Yeah.
It's always tense. Even though, it's not a crazy situation. Maybe it's just a down and out. Someone just passed out on the street or something. There's always that thought of, can this person give me COVID? Is this the patient I'm going to get COVID from for whatever reason? because not every PPE is 100% safe. Like, it's not. I can take all the precautions I want and we want as firefighters, but excuse me, at the end of the day, it's like,
well, but so that's the thing too, is the misinformation. So, but as far as I know, the only way that you contract it is through your airways, and it's droplets with the virus. You can't get it from surfaces. You can't, if it's exposed to UV lights, if it's, exposed to the sun, it gets killed. For whatever reason, young children that get it, if they get it when they're asymptomatic, they can't pass it on to old people, which was the concern from the first place. But apparently, you can't do that, or that's not possible. Really, you have to fucking spit in somebody's mouth.
So, and I wouldn't say it's not that. I'm not the all-be scientist or paramedic on how COVID acts. I haven't been in the lab studying it.
Hey, I'm not either.
But if it's spread through droplets in your spit and saliva and your breath, and people spew stuff all the time, and that's why they have the 6 feet.
Right. So
but it's not just your airways that take it. Your eyes absorb a lot of shit too.
Right.
Yeah. Your eyes, I think.
Well, that's why the mask comes into play then, right?
Well, you wear a mask over your
because
face.
If I was running the government,
but your eyes aren't covered, so if someone coughs on you and it got in your eyes, guess what? Now
right. Well, if I was some imbecile running the fucking country, not saying Trump is, but like if I was just a dummy running, the first thing I would say with the respiratory illness that's taking over the world, I'd be like, hey everyone, find something to cover your mouth. That seems like the logical step, right? Because if you have something there, it just hits it. That's what makes sense to me. Like, in all honesty, those, like, people make fun of people for wearing them because it does look kind of goofy. But those face shields, that seems like the best answer to me.
And I had to disagree because, it keeps you from sneezing or blowing snot or whatever on somebody else, but there's still everywhere else.
Isn't that the argument for the mask anyway? Is you're not protecting yourself, you're protecting other people?
Yeah.
Isn't that the argument right now? So
That's
it's like,
argument.
if everyone cares about everyone and wears the mask, we'll be okay. But the problem is there's so much fucking tension, no one gives a fuck about anybody else.
Right.
So that's a whole other fucking string of issues. But yeah, moral story stuff, that's what I would do, right? If I was in charge, if I had one directive, it would be cover your mouth. Right.
Wear your mask.
And
if you don't have it, you don't have it. But
I wear my mask everywhere. I get tested whenever I can. And I mean, what else can you really do? Right?
Wash your hands. I don't know.
Repeatedly wash your hands.
It's a crazy idea to me that
we had to reteach an entire nation how to
wash your hands.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's ridiculous. Like, really?
And I guarantee you people didn't fucking do it.
And so this is my 2 cents.
Look at my fucking hands. My hands are dry as shit, bro. I don't care how much lotion I put on them.
Yeah, and it's a little off topic, and it's my 2 cents, and probably some people will be angry, don't agree with this, but I feel like a lot of people right now, they're blaming Trump and one single person for the 200,000 deaths that have happened in America and for how drastically it spread.
Let's be honest, Biden did.
Right.
That he said it himself. Biden blamed the COVID deaths on Trump.
This is your fault. And it's like, okay.
Right.
And here's my problem with that. And maybe it's just me personally, but we all heard about COVID. We heard what was going on in Wuhan, what was going on in China, and how rapidly it was spreading across the continent, and how it got to Europe, and how it was just decimating people over there.
And it fucked up Italy.
And it just fucked
up Italy.
The entire population. And it's like, okay, well, at that point, people over here were still kind of like, is it going to come to America? Is it not? And I got my timeline wrong, but then, at the end of the day, we only have ourselves to blame for how bad it's gotten here.
You're not wrong.
You can't just blame one person saying, hey, you should wear a mask.
See, I don't spend a whole lot of time anymore on Reddit because it's probably just best. but when I did and I saw the COVID stuff, Reddit's not just an American thing. It's everywhere. Yep. And a lot of comments that I saw from Europe and Australia and fucking everywhere else where Redditors are at, they're active. They were like, maybe like 2 months ago I saw this. you know, they all kind of looked at America and they're like, yo, you guys are like pretty much one of the only countries that's like just refusing this mask thing. Like, just fucking wear the piece of cloth.
It's this idea and the stupid conspiracy.
And it turned into a partisan thing.
Like a partisan thing where like, we're not going to wear masks because it's a mind control thing. We're not going to just sit around and take it. We're not going to be sheep. And it's like, excuse me. Sir, ma'am, what?
Because, like, look, here's my thing, right? Yes.
Because once they tell you you have to do this, and they're going to step it up from there. And it's like, well, only if you let them.
Right, and I see where they're coming from. Like, to be fair.
Yeah.
I see where they're coming from.
Both sides.
And yes, you know what? In public space, if you're walking down the street, a cop should not be able to fine you, arrest you, whatever, for wearing or not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. Like, that's a little iffy, right? If you're just walking down the fucking street. But people are like, I shouldn't have to wear a mask at Target, at Best Buy, at fucking wherever. I almost said Toys R Us. Rest in peace. You know, I shouldn't have to wear a mask anywhere. And you're like, okay, you're right. The government can't and they shouldn't force you to wear a mask in public business or private businesses, because that's telling private businesses how to run their businesses. However, a private business has every right to say, wear this or get the fuck out.
This is my business. I have the right to refuse you for whatever reason.
I have the right to refuse service.
Well, not whatever reason, but for most reasons. To refuse service because you don't want to wear a mask. And we don't know if you have COVID, and we don't want it to give it to everyone else and our staff.
Even if, for whatever reason, the government had the ability to tell businesses to do that. Yeah, look, I'm not for big government. I'm not. But we have to sprinkle a little common sense on this one.
Well, and again, it shouldn't be a big government issue. It should be, hey...
It's common sense, just fucking...
Hey, American people,
get with the program!
Get with the program. Wake up. Wear a mask. Not because big government told you to, not because the Walmart guys told you to, whatever the fuck. Wear a mask to keep the person next to you safe. How hard that is? It just over your head that you just don't give a shit about anyone else anymore? Is there no empathy there? What the fuck is it?
Like, I notice in public, I notice in my workplace, I notice pretty much almost anywhere I go. There's people that will like find the bare minimum of wearing a mask and they will adhere to that. And in my point of view, it's like, if you're consciously trying to not wear a mask or barely wear a mask, like, I feel like that's more work than actually wearing it and forgetting about it. Like, dude, now I don't feel it.
Like, what's the point?
Wearing a mask in public or wearing a mask, like, I wear a mask at work, obviously, because you have to, but it's like, it doesn't really feel like anything. Like, it's there. Obviously, I know it's there, but it's like, okay, fuck it. It's like they fucking put a chip in my brain.
Yeah, like, what's the problem? Like, you put the mask on and then you slap it over your chin? What the fuck?
There's like a diaper for your face.
Why? Yeah, why the fuck are you even wearing it?
Yeah, I don't
Like, do you just not give a shit? Do you not know? Did you just think, like, oh, they're just making us wear masks now for whatever fucking reason? And then this is just how I'm going to get away with it and wear the mask?
The interesting thing is going to be, you know, when fucking, like, November 8th rolls around or whenever, right? Or whenever let's assume, right? That, especially, I feel like especially if the Democratic Party wins the presidency, but whenever this fucking election cycle's over...
You mean Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is the Democratic Party.
Oh, God. It's like, dude, that was, in my opinion... I
am the Senate. Bro.
See, like,
Bro.
So, like, I respect that, right, owning up to your party, but when your party is, like, burning cities down, trying to set the mayor of fucking wherever in Ohio on fire...
They brought a guillotine to the mayor's house in Portland.
Which is kind of cool. But I don't... It's not the right thing to do. Like, it's not the right thing to do. So, dude, like, is that what you represent? Is that what you and Kamala Harris represent? Anyways, the point. So, like, it's just interesting if, like, after this election cycle, if all this just goes away. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, COVID's dead. Back to work. Back to whatever.
And I don't think so. And I would hope so. I would hope not. I would hope that's not the case.
Because the virus will still
that
be
this
there.
is just some stupid ploy
It'll still
to
be
freak
there.
people out because to get election polls or whatever the fuck it is. It's still a virus. It's still happening. People are getting it. People are getting fucked up from it. I just talked to someone the other day, and she said her friend had gotten it. She was in very good health. She was a soccer player, and that she still has lung problems from it. And then I had a coworker that I worked a shift with, and he had just gotten over COVID actually, and was back to work. And he said, yeah, like him and his wife had gotten it, and he said, yeah, it made me sick, but I didn't have a fever. I didn't have a productive cough. I just felt like shit. I tested
Really
positive for it.
lethargic.
But my wife had almost the exact opposite. She had a fever. She was sick. She had trouble breathing. And he said, now we're over it, and she still has trouble breathing. Like, it affects everyone differently.
Yeah, you and I have a mutual friend that got COVID. I'm not going to say who out of respect, but me and her were talking, and I'll tell you afterwards. And me and her were talking, dude, she had a fever of 102 for like fucking 3 weeks.
That's ridiculous.
That is insane. Like, dude, that would fucking destroy most people. I guarantee that would destroy people over fucking 75, 65. That would fuck people up. So, like, if you're listening, individual, and you know who you are, I'm very proud of you for surviving that. Thank you for staying on this planet. But, like, yeah, it affects a lot of people differently. And that's what's tough. But,
and the people that think this is... And another gripe of mine, again, this podcast is just us bitching now, but it's people I feel like are acting like this is something we can beat. And it's like, okay, well, this isn't like polio. This isn't like the measles or mumps. This is a coronavirus. It is like the flu.
Yeah.
It is widespread. It is very contagious. And you can't, to my understanding, it's not something that we can just eradicate.
Well, because it's not a bacterial-based virus or a bacterial-based disease.
Yeah, infection. It's a virus, and it mutates and it changes just like the flu does every year. And I think for the next foreseeable future, this is going to be an issue. This not an issue, but a thing where we're going to have to, whenever this vaccine does come out and it does actually work, it's going to have to change. They're going to have to make a coronavirus vaccine every year.
Will you be one of the first to take the vaccine?
I did for norovirus. Got a $100 gift card for that. That's another story.
I will say I did get the it fucking hurt. I had to get it in 3 cycles. I got that HPV vaccine when it first came out.
Oh yeah,
dude, it was like every 3 months I had to get it. Fuck, that was a nasty fucking. I mean, it worked, but like, I mean, fuck, like that shit hurt.
And I feel like
it was 2 in my arm and 1 in my butt, and good God.
And I feel like a lot of people are just like, yeah, once this vaccine comes out, it's fine. When it's going to end, people are going to be safe. And it's like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
You can get the flu vaccine, guess what? And you can still get the flu. Like, sorry, but it's not a 100% guaranteed this is going to work.
I think that people need to have the ability to choose, though. I think people need to have the ability to choose whether or not they go out.
Choice
whether
is
or not they
issue.
whether or not they run their businesses. They need to have that choice. The government shouldn't be able to say, fuck you, you can't work. And like, look, it was great that we got a $1,200 check like 5 months ago. I got mine like fucking 4 weeks ago. But like, it's cool they did that, but at this point, actually a while ago, it almost became a fucking insult. Because you're gonna give me $1,200 just to fuck off? Like, what? $1,200 to last 5 months?
A year almost.
Like, what is that? And then you're gonna bail out all these giant companies? If you had all that money, I don't know the figure specifically, fucking whatever, but the giant amount of money that they put towards those huge businesses, where is that money to fix the inner cities?
Right.
Where is that money to fix education? Were you specifically saving that for worst case scenario of these giant business? Amazon made a fucking this is one of their best years, if not their best year, during a pandemic.
It was like something $300 billion.
Something fucking retarded.
The top 8 they gained, and it was.
Dude, I remember hearing about. Oh man, this was like 10 years ago, maybe a little more. And obviously, it's gotten a higher figure of money. Let's say Bill Gates dropped a $100 bill out of his pocket. he would, with the energy it would take for him to bend over, get that $100 bill, and shove it back in his pocket, he'd actually be losing money because of the money he'd be gaining. He'd be wasting his time picking up that $100 bill because he's getting so much more. And that what?
And I think you brought it up a while ago. Yeah, there's certain people, the top 1%, that have so much money that no matter how much they try to spend it, some of that money will end up back in their pocket.
Oh yeah,
that is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
What are you planning to do with all this money?
I'm not saying there should be a cap how much money you can make.
No, it shouldn't be a government controlled thing. It should be a fucking common human decency.
It's
like
a morality thing.
I have this much fucking money.
Help out a little bit. Like that's my props to Elon Musk. He's trying to move us forward.
Right.
He's trying to take us to fucking Mars, baby. He's trying to take us to Mars. Have affordable and efficient electric cars. And he's trying to build fucking underground tunnels to connect our entire country. You know what he calls that company? Have you heard the name of that company that does that?
I think so.
The Boring Company.
Yeah.
The boring part of his life is connecting this nation.
Yeah, man.
Dude, that guy's fucking Batman. He's fucking Batman, dude. I'm telling you, that guy's fucking Batman.
But again, yeah, it's like the common decency. And again, I'm speaking from a point where I'm not at, but to have that much money and then just...
What's the magic number of how much money in taxes Amazon paid last year? I know you know it.
Zero.
I'll say it in Spanish for you. Cero. Like,
what the fuck?
Like, where... Like, and Amazon's not the only offender of that. I think Netflix did that too. Maybe Walmart. I don't think Walmart, but definitely I think Netflix had a year like that between 2017 2019.
Also, all these tax cuts, dude. It's tax cuts and write-offs.
But, like, fucking hell. How?
You have the money to find those loopholes and use them.
Yeah, it's like practically I know how. Well, I get the idea. I don't know how, but I get the idea. But
let me give this to you
morally wise, how?
Like, let me give this to you for an example. It's kind of off topic, but from a first responder standpoint, we have an ambulance service here that's run by press. And they lose money all the time, right? Because people can't pay their medical bills or they don't pay for the ambulance rides, whatever. That's here nor there. They don't charge them. What they do is they can write that as a tax write-off. So press can just hemorrhage money in these ambulance services, giving rides to people who, and people that can't pay, and they write it off, and then the government pays them.
That's good.
And then the government doesn't tax them that.
That's good.
And that's a good thing. But like, where are all these other tax write-offs going for these other bigger companies that aren't helping people?
Yeah. You can do it, man.
And again, I'm not an economist. I'm not a fucking know-all, be-all fucking dude. This is just my normal.
How would we do math in high school?
Average Joe fucking understanding. Like, where does this money go? Is it going in your pockets? Is it like going to private fucking jets and fucking Lamborghinis? Like, where's the magic limit of wealth where you're like, maybe I have enough, maybe it's time to just stop buying shit.
Well, we're almost at 2 hours. I want to end this on a positive note. For those of you that are watching, whenever you decide to watch, thank you. Share it with everybody. But more importantly, share this. Go out there and love somebody. Maybe not your ex. Not a good idea. But,
you mind if I say something real quick?
Yeah.
So, and on another note, converse with people.
Yeah, talk.
Stop taking everything someone says when they're trying to have a conversation and automatically assume that they're hating on you or it's hate speech to you and that their ideas are completely wrong. Hey, welcome to America. People have different ideas.
Disagreeing is not hate.
Stop leading into the idea of identity politics and assuming somebody is who a person is based on their political views. That's not how that works. Mm-hmm. All right, stop bashing people for what they believe in.
I agree.
All right,
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Go out and talk to people.
Have conversations.
That's why I started this podcast. I could give a fuck about making money off this podcast. In fact, I don't really plan on it. However,
What I do plan on is talking to as many people, whether it's in person or over Zoom, as humanly possible. Because I want to hear what people have to say. I don't care what their racial background is. I don't care what their religious background is. I have my religious preferences, and I stick to them as much as I can. I'm not the best Christian out there, but I mean, I try. And I certainly ask for forgiveness almost every hour of every day. But I want to speak to as many people as I can because people matter. Now, granted, are there some piece of shits in this world? Most definitely. Do some people not deserve a platform? 100%. But people matter.
Right.
A lot of people matter. And I think that as many people that I can sit down with, whenever I get the studio downstairs finally situated where I'm sitting in my kitchen, bar on a budget. But I want to talk to as many people as because I like people. I like people a lot. I used to hate people. I used to really hate people. But, like, I love people now. And I want to figure out what's going on in people's heads. I want to understand why people act a certain way. And I really, like, I don't know how to fix the world. I'm not going to fix the world, but I can certainly help. And I think this is my way of doing it. So back to what I was saying, go love somebody, not the wrong person. Don't love your ex. They're your ex for a reason. Leave them in the past. But no, go call your mom, dude. Call your mom, tell her hi. You know, call your family, call your friends, call that person you didn't talk to since fucking 5th grade, but you like each other's memes on Facebook. You know, go fucking say hi to somebody. Make someone feel good. All right, man. That's episode 1.
Well, hey, I appreciate you having me first guest.
Getting paid.
Only Kings podcast. Like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah,
it's
man.
happening, man.
Let's
really cool.
Let's ride this one till the wheels fall off.
I'm excited.
Same. Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good life. Have a great one. Make it the best life you can possibly fucking live. We'll see you next time.
Time to do it.